Well, as you know, conservatives in America are having a rougher go of it than conservatives in Canada. You guys get to win an election once in a while. It's been a while for us. It's been since 2010 for us. It'll be a better election for us in 2014 because President Obama's dramatic incompetence reveals itself yet again, and even the media cannot shield him from this one. Nonetheless, the Republican Party, conservatives in general in the United States are having a very uphill go of it. They're having a very uphill battle.
Yes, they are. Welcome back to the arena. I'm Michael Corrin. Ben Shapiro, who you saw, is frequently the voice of intelligent conservatism on US television. His books include There Are Many Brainwashed, How Universities Indoctrinate America's Youth, Porn Generation, How Social Liberalism is Corrupting Our Future, Bullies, How the Left's Culture of Fear and Intimidation Silences America. My golly, they sound incredible. He joins us now from Los Angeles. You're a busy boy. Where do you find time to go on TV and really provoke liberals?
Well, that's always a first priority. So when I get the opportunity to do so, you have to grab it with both fists.
Now, some fundamentals here. Your books are published by various publishers, mainstream. Where do you go to have your books published?
Yeah, right now my publisher is Simon & Schuster. They've been the publisher on the last couple of books. I've been with HarperCollins for Primetime Propaganda. I've been with Regnery, with Thomas Nelson. So I've had several major U.S. publishers.
All right. So I'm with Random House. So those people who say that if you're conservative, you have a very hard time of it, there can be challenges. But I find that once you've shown that your books do sell, money tends to be the motivating factor, and these big houses will come in and take you.
No question. I think that there is a burden of a presumption of unsuccess that you have to overcome. But once that's been overcome, I think that you have a better shot. That's true in the book business. It's not true in the entertainment business yet.
Mm-hmm. How about media coverage and reviewing? Now, again, my experience has been I get lots of media coverage, but certain mainstream, which is sometimes a euphemism for liberal, publications simply won't review the book.
Oh, no question. There's a certain echo chamber on the right and there's an echo chamber on the left, but the echo chamber on the left is much, much larger. And the truth is that to get your book reviewed, to get your work reviewed on anything approaching a major network is very difficult. They have a monopoly. You have to be a huge figure in order to do that, usually a former retired politician, who are usually the least good spokespeople for conservatism possible. So that means that the best messengers for the conservative movement are typically stuck on conservative networks, and the best messengers for the liberal movement are stuck on mainstream networks that have millions more viewers.
There's also the word controversial, and I love this. When a conservative writes a book, it's controversial. When a liberal does, it's just a book. I bet that's happened to you as well.
Oh, absolutely. When a conservative writes a book, then it must be that you're offensive or controversial. You've said something that's provocative. When you're somebody on the left and you say something that's controversial or terrible, then it's thought-provoking. It's always thought-provoking. So when you say that America is a racist, horrible, evil nation, that's mostly thought-provoking. But if you say that America is the greatest nation in the history of the earth and we don't really have much to apologize for at this point in time, then that is a controversial statement.
Yeah. Which book are you most proud of?
There are several that I'm very proud of. Bullies, I think, I'm very proud of Bullies because I think that it lays out a very solid statement of what the left is, not only in America but internationally. And they are a bunch of bullies who are attempting to cow everybody into silence by misuse of the language and by character attacks. As far as investigative research, Primetime Propaganda is the book that I'm proudest of. That's a book where I went undercover with dozens and dozens and dozens of major figures in the film and TV industry and got them to talk to me on the record, on tape, about how they discriminated against conservatives and put socially liberal messages into their films and television. I thought that was it was kind of a breakthrough at the time.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about when the left did become oppressive, socially oppressive and intellectually oppressive, because it wasn't always like that. When we think of Fabian socialism in the Edwardian times, 20s and 30s, you think of the great writers. I think it began fairly early. George Orwell, one of the finest people who wrote, he saw it. He came from the left and he remained on the left, but he saw how organized leftism was actually oppressing all sorts of opinion. That's as early as the mid-1940s.
Oh, yeah. The left, once it gained power, became oppressive pretty quickly. The truth is that in the United States, President Roosevelt, FDR, when he took office, he was talking about the malefactors of great wealth, and he was having the Blue Eagle put on all sorts of products that he personally approved of. So the idea that the left has been oppressive has been around at least 80 years in the country. The truth is Woodrow Wilson, who is very much a man of the left and a progressive, Woodrow Wilson was using the Sedition Acts to go after anybody who disagreed with World War I. So the idea that the left has been tied to a fair amount of oppression has been true historically for at least a century at this point.
Talk about primetime propaganda, because I think that this This is very important. People don't read as much as they used to. People do watch movies. They might not actually go to the theatre, they might not watch TV, but they're watching. And it's very subtle, which is a kind way of saying often sinister. Messages can be pushed into, intruded into apolitical movies. You're watching a movie, it could be a romance, something which is entirely innocuous, but within that is a message, and you don't even know you're receiving it, but you are.
Well, that's what Hollywood is great at. I mean, remember, when you tune into a TV show every week, what Hollywood does better than anybody else on earth is they create a set of characters that you want to be with, a set of characters that you want to hang out with, that you have sympathy for. And then after you've developed sympathy for the character, they'll have the character do something that you find personally abhorrent, but they'll say to you, okay, well, you know, you like the character, so how can you find their behavior so abhorrent? Are you a hypocrite? It's the same sort of argument that you in your personal life have encountered when you have a gay relative, the idea being that you have a relative who you love, and your relative happens to be gay, therefore you must be pro-gay marriage, which is not an argument, it's an emotional appeal. Hollywood excels at emotional appeals. They're in the business of having you pay them for them to make you laugh or cry. So it's no surprise that they can use that enormous power over emotion to wield it on behalf of certain political causes, ranging from leftist internationalism to social liberalism on the home front.
Is it really that planned and explicit? I mean, surely people are just trying to make generally third-rate TV and put it on the screen and make a few dollars out of it.
Well, some of it's very planned. Some of it, for example, when I interviewed the head of Friends, the person who co-created Friends, Marta Kaufman, in Primetime Propaganda, I talk about the fact that she says explicitly in the first season there's a lesbian wedding. And she said, yeah, I did that because I have these kids who lived in my apartment building and their parents were lesbians, and therefore I had to put that in there to show them that it was okay. She explicitly wrote the entire storyline for these kids. At the same time, what really happens is that because Hollywood is a milieu that is extraordinarily to the left, because LA and New York are very much to the left, people are writing stuff that they think reflects their lives, and people in LA and New York are in this bubble where they think that their lives are reflective of the rest of the nation, and therefore, if they reflect their own lives, they're transforming the rest of the nation, and by and large, that's actually true. By reflecting their own lives on screen, the things that they do, the things that they find palatable and interesting, they're actually changing how people think about those things in the rest of the country.
Gay weddings occur everywhere, from New York to LA to the Midwest to Alaska. I mean, they happen. Surely some things are actually quite valuable. And Modern Family, which is at least the first couple of series, beautifully written and very well performed. I think it's become a bit repetitive. But there was a mocking of radicalism. I think in terms of the gay issue, it was saying, look, these are just pretty ordinary people. They don't actually have politics, and those who do can be a bit annoying. I mean, was that offensive? I didn't find it so.
I'll tell you, less offensive and more convincing, right? I mean, the idea there was to shift views. There's no question. The fact is that Cam and Mitchell, who are the gay couple on Modern Family, are not extraordinarily representative of most gay people in the United States. The truth is that gay people in the United States tend not to be monogamous. They tend not to adopt kids. I mean, it's an outlier situation. And by painting that as the kind of normal situation and saying, well, how dare you stand in the way of these two people getting married? Well, then of course you're making a very, very strong political case in favor of gay marriage, but it really is more an emotional appeal. It's not dealing with the societal consequences, for example, of their daughter not having a mother. It's not really dealing with the societal consequences of kids not being expected to have two-parent heterosexual households. And that in and of itself is a problem. But that's what Hollywood does. Hollywood, by focusing in its microscope on individuals, it's able to take those individual stories and then make them principles that are supposed to be writ large, when in truth, principles are supposed to be decided by the population at large for the population at large and affect individuals, not the other way around.
Hooray for Hollywood. Wish we had more time. It'd be interesting to discuss some of the attitudes towards Hollywood that have come from all sorts of people over the years, and also the positive work it has done, because it has. But much is negative, unfortunately. Hey, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.